almost all of my previous video projects have involved a series of steps that move towards a completed project. I'll talk about the construction of that kit, the kit itself, the paint and weathering processes that I use. This time, I'm going to focus on something else, something that every scale modeler does, something that is the key to every build ever started, the why. Why do we pick a subject? What is it that jumps out at us and makes us pick a specific and targeted model? To answer this question, I'll have to introduce you to my long-suffering wife, Liesl. Hello, Liesl. Well, maybe not long-suffering, but certainly there. Maybe I should wind back the clock a couple of years first, so all this makes a little more sense. During the COVID years, I purchased a kit that I really wanted to build. When I say I really wanted to build it, I mean I really wanted to build it. I have this long-standing fascination with World War I and the massive technological advancements it brought about in the machines and tactics of modern warfare. On top of that, having served in armoured regiments, I have a very strong affinity with tanks and armoured fighting vehicles. So to build a model of what is often seen as the definitive World War I tank, at the point of the genesis of tank-based warfare, well, let's just say it's a bit of a passion project for me. In researching a potential direction for building this Mk.5 female tank, I found images of a Mk.4 Beutepanzer, which as it turned out is a famous Mk.4 Beutepanzer named Liesl. Now, fate is an interesting term. It implies that an outcome is a series of planned events that were always destined to occur. A meeting point for life's journeys that intersect in such a way that the outcome was never in doubt. Fate, it seems, determined that I would build a World War I tank, discover that German Beutepanzer named Liesl, and that my wife would also be named Liesl. For the sharp of eye, the spelling of each is close but different. Something which my Liesl has pointed out several times. So here's the situation. I have a model of a Mk.5 female tank. Liesl, the German Beutepanzer, is a Mk.4 female tank. My wife Liesl is a Mk. I lady. See what I did there? So I wasn't going to be able to build an exact representation of the original Mk.4 Liesl, and I really didn't want to do that. I've built numerous representations of specific tanks over the years, and whilst they are certainly fun and challenging to do, this time I wanted to build a tribute piece. And not just in some obvious way either. This time I want to build a version of a Beutepanzer that takes tribute from a specific vehicle, but makes it more unique, yet more generic at the same time, that also uses elements of a famous vehicle and incorporates elements of all vehicles of its type. So let me explain. The idea here is I have the main elements of the real Mk.4 Liesl, the damage, the basic position of it cresting on an earthen mound, the track separated on one side. I'll then use a rare but familiar paint scheme used on Beutepanzers of that period. I'll incorporate markings familiar to the Hussar units that crewed these Beutepanzers, and then I'll weather the tank and present it in such a way as the average viewer may expect to see it, yet incorporate some twists to the scene. So, as I mentioned earlier, it will be a tribute to the original Liesl. In fact, maybe I can't even legally call it a tribute. Maybe it's something else altogether. What I do know is that it will certainly be a call out to my wife, as it will be called Liesl, using the correct spelling, I'm told. As you've seen so far, I've looked over the kit and reviewed what Mung have supplied. Having built several of their modern kits, this one meets my own expectations. It's crisp, highly detailed, almost Tamiya-like in its engineering and quality. And believe me, I'm already excited to get started. Whilst I've been waffling on about why I'm building this kit, you'll see I've also been reviewing all of the kit parts and the instruction manual. Like all Mung kits, this is a superior quality kit. There is both a trench ditching beam and a fascine available to build. There are several options on build versions, although all are female versions, with the late Hotchkiss machine guns. Colour options, all British, are period accurate, and the kit has some lovely inclusions such as photo etch, metal chain and paint colour callouts. Other than the fact that this is a subject that is of significant interest to me, I really do have to praise the quality of this kit. The construction commenced pretty much as you might expect, with the twin track housings. It's really interesting to think about the construction of those rhomboid-shaped World War I British tanks. Consideration needed to be given to the means of both propulsion and the tank's ability to traverse rough ground and trenches, which was their primary purpose. The detail in this kit, which by the way is incredible, really does allow us as modellers to see the design philosophy behind these amazing first generation tanks. Let's talk about where I want to take this model and how I'm going to, well, damage it. Using the original Mk.5 Beutepanzer as my inspiration, I want to show the front left damage where it appears to have been struck by a high explosive artillery shell. The impact from that shell has blown away sections of the support for the track and likely also blown a section of track away at the same time. Replicating this damage is not difficult, and all it really takes is just the use of a rotary tool and good quality sprue cutters. I'm not going to add any other significant damage to the tank, as that just feels like overkill. Like I'm trying too hard to show that it's been knocked out, and really that's not the purpose of this build. During the chipping phase, I'll certainly add some paint damage caused by rifle caliber rounds striking the armour plate. That's really as much as I want to do. The weathering is where the real visual interest is going to come from. And that actually starts with my choice of camo. There are numerous versions of camo designs used by the Germans on their Beutepanzers. In fact, World War I German aircraft have long been known for their intricate and colourful varieties of camouflage, especially the lozenge versions. And tanks were no different. There are so many experimental choices made that it was easy to make the decision to use colour as a focal point for this build. Rather than work with typical browns, greens and greys, I've decided to use dark yellow and sky blue as the base. It's a perfectly period and correct choice, and that means I can also hopefully keep the purists watching this video somewhat happy. Although I'm pretty sure they're screaming at their screens right now about any number of other issues. But hey, a thumbs down is as good as a thumbs up when it comes to interaction with the YouTube algorithm. Some people ask if my modelling choices are because I like certain elements. In many instances that would be true, but liking something doesn't exist in a vacuum. Hear me out on this. It's all about the purpose of the build and what would be appropriate if realism is important to you. That also extends to the base or surrounding objects if you incorporate the main subject into a vignette or diorama. There's no point painting a Sherman tank in a Pacific theatre paint scheme, then placing it in, say, Tunisia during the North Africa campaign. It would absolutely look out of place. Likewise, I absolutely love guacamole, but I wouldn't put it on my ice cream either. 40 years ago, when I began in this hobby, I built objects that interested me. I was a young teen, and like all young teens, I was solely focused on what I wanted. Over the 40 years I've been on and off building scale model kits, I have built aircraft, ships, armour, and even the odd car. I feel dirty. Again, all of these were subjects that focused on my own interests at the time. Now I've learnt that not all of my builds need to be about me, or what I specifically like, or contain a story that is solely about the main object. The why can change. My wife Lisa is unlikely to ever build a military scale model, it's not her passion. She is, however, highly skilled at costume making, and I'll never become a highly skilled costume maker. With this project, the why is about making a tribute to the one person who facilitates my ability to build what I choose to build. Because despite these projects being messy, tiresome, inspirational, time-consuming and even gloriously frustrating, they can take us away to a solitary place away from those we love and care about. To some degree, it's a reflection of our relationships, and that is the why. If you watched all the way through, I applaud your effort. Thank you once again. See you on the next video.